commented on the video that I put out about them, and that's like exactly what he said. That he likes to bring them into higher tier battles and then keep their scoped rifles as like a more of a secondary weapon. Which isn't
Yeah, I
something that I
figured.
thought about doing with them. I felt like the rifles weren't that good as scoped rifles, but I can see why you would do it. I have the event Rocket Squad on, so kind of the same idea, but different. You know? Like, my guys don't get scopes. I don't know if this is better or worse, though. Like, I feel like having the scoped rifles as a secondary might actually be better. But I already had AVS 36s on these guys, even if they're not upgraded AVS 36s. I actually need to play some of my Russian, like, riflemen and engineer squads so I can actually upgrade the weapons. I'm really bad about playing them.
Alright. I think we're good. Think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good. Let's roll. Size. Ace, my boy. What do you think of the current, I guess not, well, it is still current, but what do you think of the Halloween event?
I mean, I liked it. I liked that. That was pretty cool. The squads, giving you a custom kind of soldier, giving your own little personalized squad. I thought they were pretty cool. I feel they could have maybe, because the game mode itself was cool itself, but I feel maybe they could have had maybe just a little bit of different taste in every single game mode, because it was kind of the same thing. You go, you blow up some holes, you kill a bunch of, you know, uh, kill a bunch of enemies, and then you fight a boss at the end. I feel like they could have done something a little bit different with every single, map, especially with the different locations where they were.
So,
But otherwise, it was cool.
I don't know, I have like, I guess, conflicting takes on it, right? On the one hand, for an event in Enlisted, I actually think it was pretty impressive. If it didn't have so much reused content, I would even call it ambitious, because in my experience, most of the Enlisted events, except for like the what's it called? The spring event, the April Fool's event, are normally pretty limited. They're normally just like a normal, hey, go play some battles, unlock some stuff. But very few of them feel like they have their own separate gameplay loop or their own separate game mode. So, because of that, I feel like it was pretty cool. That being said, I think that the monetization in it is pretty scuffed. So, I guess let's break it down, right? I think the game modes themselves were pretty good, actually. Like, I was gonna say pretty okay, but actually I think they were good. They were a little bit better than okay. They were repetitive, but I think they got around the repetitive nature well, because instead of having them all follow the same objectives in the same order on every map, or even worse yet, they could have just released one map. Like, they could have just done, like, Berlin or whatever, and called it a day. They still came out with every map, which was, in my opinion, a good thing. And the order of... sorry, I'm getting shot at. The order of the missions or the order of the objectives on each one, I think kept it feeling somewhat fresh. Plus the, like, I don't know, random nature of your teammates also, I think, probably kept it feeling somewhat fresh. That being said, also the bosses. I liked that they had different bosses on every map, and that each boss had their own mechanic. I think they could have been a little bit more interesting, because I think a lot of the difficulty from the bosses either comes from the health scaling in hard, or it comes from the surprise factor in normal the first time you see it. But this isn't the kind of game where I would expect, like, mechanical complexity. Like, this just isn't a PvE game, like, I don't know, World of Warcraft or whatever, where I would expect, like, boss fights to be, like, super top tier. Like,
yeah.
For a game that's built around PvP, I think they did a really good job with them. That being said, I think that the progression that they did for it was really stupid. I think that they could have had the different weapons in it without tying them to the battle pass, and I think that aspect of it was really scuffed. Given that it was a much more intense or, like, complex or different event to what we normally would get, I understand them wanting to monetize it. The issue that I have is not that they chose to monetize it. The issue that I take with it is the means by which they monetized it. So, what I mean by that is if they wanted to make it so you had to get random squads and that you had to pay, like, a premium in order to get all 4 squads, I actually don't inherently mind that. I do think it sets a dangerous precedent for future normal events, but, like, you know, time will tell. When it comes to this specifically, though, tying weapons in the event to it made it feel, I don't know, repetitive in some cases, because I feel like once I got the FG42, I only used the FG42 until I got the STG. But even once I got the STG, I felt like the FG42 is still probably the better of the 2 guns, just because it's got better bossing damage, and there's ammo boxes enough, or frequently enough, that you can sit there and you can, like, resupply. I don't inherently mind that they are monetizing, like, weapon skins, but I think the way that they're monetizing weapon skins is scuffed. Like, the RD-44, for example, it's perfectly fine to me if you want to sell an RD-44 bundle where you pick it up, and by picking it up you gain access to the RD-44 in the event, but you also get a skin. The problem that I take is you're selling 4 complete guns, and it's only 4 guns, and effectively they're just reskins. Like, if you're somebody who hasn't researched the RD-44, then it's a power skip and it's a skin. But for anybody who's completed the tech tree, it's basically just a skin. And for the price point that they put it at, I think it's really steep for something that you're going to use for like 3 weeks in a seasonal game mode, and then you're not going to be able to use it again. And then 4 guns. Like I think instead of the 4 guns, what they probably should have done is just make it a skin that you can apply to every RD-44 that you buy ever in your tech tree. It's just like, you know, a normal skin toggle like you would find in any other game that sells skins. And I think that would have been better, in my opinion. I still think that the gold point for it is like a really steep asking point. I'm sure some people are fine with it. I'm just not. Like, it's the kind of gold you would spend on a premium squad, and you're getting 4 guns. And I just think that feels terrible. And I'm probably not the right audience for it. Like, it's probably not designed to be marketed towards me. And maybe that's fine. Maybe I'm just not the target audience, and it was never designed to resonate with somebody like me. And there are other people that it probably does resonate with. I just think that there was a better, more tasteful way they could have gone about it. Beyond that, what do you think of the way that the soldier customization is? I know that there was a lot of backlash with the way that the individual soldiers look. Some people disliked it because they felt like it was too much of a break from reality.
Well, to touch still on the other game mode, I think they kind of missed out on something too, because I think it was like after a week, after they launched it or so, they put in kind of like, on their website, like, there was a leaderboard for how fast you can complete the actual, each map, how fast you can do it, so kind of like speed run. I feel like they kind of missed out. They could have, you know, done it like reward-based, you know, hey, you do it this fast amount of time, the top person gets this, you know, etc., etc. I feel like they kind of missed out on that, and then, you know, it could have made the event a little bit more playable, you know, and it couldn't have made the teams that you play on, you know, a little bit more competitive. I also feel like when it comes to the monetization of it, I don't mind them, you know, selling this stuff, you know, it just says one singular, like for example, the RD-44, I thought it was the asking price for it. I thought it was fucking ridiculous. But I feel, you know, if they're gonna do something like that, at least make it to where you're giving out like 4 weapons or something to where you can like, at least, you know, equip the whole squad with all that stuff. Or like you said, just make it to where it's an actual skin.
Yeah, I feel like it should have just been a skin.
All your weapons. Yeah.
Like, I think the price point for it came from, like, I think they compared it to if you went and bought Battle Pass weapons, because the Battle Pass weapons are like 750 gold a pop. I think that still would have come in as being less, but I think the rest of the price point came in from it being, like, exclusive in the other game mode. At least that's how I assume that it worked out.
Yeah, but I mean, otherwise, I think it was a pretty good event, you know. I think it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the gameplay was good. I just think the monetization was bad. But yeah, what do you think of the customizations?
I mean, the customizations, I feel like it should be, once you buy something, it should be just bought for the whole entire squad, instead of just in an individual soldier. So, like, you know, let's say I'm using say I'm using an anti-tank squad, right, for the Russians, and I go in and I customize, you know, for every single map. I feel it shouldn't just be for an individual soldier. Feel like it should be for that whole entire squad in general. I mean, I don't mind having to go through and let's just say if I go to a different AT squad and having to, you know, purchase a whole different, you know, loadout of cosmetics for that one. But at least, you know, it's for that whole entire individual squad, not just for the individual soldier.
So for example, then with the event, right, you can unlock like an FG-42 that looks like a zombie gun, right?
Yeah.
So would you then want to make it so you unlock that and then you can just apply it to a squad instead of a soldier?
Yeah, I'd do that.
Okay.
I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So then, when it comes to the tank, right? Because they did back in the spring, they did a Panzer IV. Now they have a Sherman. Would you? So right now it works the same way as a Battle Pass tank, where effectively what it is a maxed out tank with a reskin. Would you? And it requires you already have the tank crew unlocked to put it on. Would you rather just have it as a skin, or do you like the current version of it?
I mean, as long as, I mean, I don't mind it not having it as a skin, but as long as it's not, like, overly priced, as long as it's the same price as any type of Battle Pass, you know, vehicle, I mean, I'm fine with it, leaving it the way it is. As long as they don't, like, upcharge it, you know, so...
I don't know exactly what it goes for. It's less than the RD-44s, but I don't think it's a whole lot less.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's just say an average Battle Pass vehicle, I don't know, it's 1,000 gold, right? As long as it's not like 2,000 gold, you know what I mean, then I'm fine with it, but if I don't see why you're gonna upcharge...
I think it's like 3,000.
Yeah,
I mean, we can look after this battle, but I think it's like 3,000.
Yeah, see, that's why I have an issue with it. I don't understand how you can go ahead and, like, charge triple the price of a normal Battle Pass.
Like I said before, the issue that I run into is you get into the territory where you're paying as much as you would for a premium squad.
Exactly, and it's something you can already get in the tech tree, except it has a fancy skin on it, which the skin doesn't do anything to it.
I mean, it makes it look cool.
Yeah, it makes it look cool.
Like I'm not gonna lie, it is a cool looking tank. I would rather get a premium squad than pay like premium squad price and get a tank that's already in the tech tree.
Exactly. I'd rather get a, you know...
Like, at least then you're getting, like, premium bonuses for, like, XP gain, and, you know, by proxy, that's also getting you more silver. Because, like, I don't need the XP, but I'll take the silver.
Yeah.
Right, so... Then, what do you think of the individual soldiers that came from the event? Like, okay, so personally, my favorite is, of course, Reinhard Rust. I really like him. But I know that some of their appearances are really unpopular because they don't fit with the more historical nature that the game is, for the most part, presented. Like, I know in particular people really... I don't know how common of an opinion it is, but at least online I've seen a lot of people complaining about the Japanese guy in the samurai armor.
Yeah, see, I don't mind it. I mean, it's only one squad, and it's not like, you know, you're able to equip the whole entire squad looking like a bunch of samurais, you know. I mean, I like the actual soldiers themselves.
So the example that a lot of people have used, I don't remember the exact names, but they've used real-life examples of individuals, like, for example, the one that always comes to mind for me whenever people talk about, like, outliers when it comes to World War II is the guy who stormed D-Day with a long sword and a bow.
Yeah.
So people have brought up other individuals similar to that, you know, really did exist and how they'd rather have people like that. I think it would be cool to have them. I don't have a problem with what we got, though. Like, I actually do think the samurai guy is actually really cool.
Yeah, he's really cool. He looks cool.
And the thing is, like it's supposed to be like a one-off, a historical event. Um, they could have taken a real historical figure and shoehorned him into the event. I just think there would have been more questions with them, like, using a real figure like that. And I think it's safer the route that they went. And I don't really have an issue with it. I am just a fucking monkey right now. I can't fucking kill one guy.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with their appearances or with the actual squads. I think Reinhardt was the best, though. It's an engineer with the freaking MG-15.
Yeah, I think that's the... So, don't get me wrong, I like him because he's got a gas mask, and one of the things that I've wanted for a long time with customization in this game is to get, like, gas mask customizations that you can just apply without being an Offenrohr carrier.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you've got an Offenrohr, then... Oh, he's on the floor. Okay. Yeah, so if you've got like an Offenrohr carrier, you get a gas mask, and it's a pretty cool look. It's pretty iconic for like what people expect when they think of like World War I, World War II Germany. So I think it would have been really cool, and it doesn't have to be Germany exclusive. Everybody issued gas masks throughout the war, so I think it would be cool to have that as a customization that you can put on as if, you know how you have like gloves that you can put on in Stalingrad, that they don't change your jacket, they just add a pair of gloves. It's the same concept, but adding a face mask, but keeping your hat or your helmet. So just like an extra separate thing. You know, they could even make it like a face customization, where you just pick that instead of having like your normal soldier head. And I think that would be pretty cool. So I like that about him. But I do really like functionally that he is an engineer that uses a machine gun. And one of my first things that I tried to do when I first got his squad, so I tried to see if I could pull him off the squad, because he's, you know, like a special engineer. And so I wanted to see if I could pull him off the squad and stick him in the assault engineer squad, but no, he's tied to the squad. Which, it's fine, but I would have really liked to have been able to get my assault engineers with their, like, STGs and swap out one of them for Reinhardt. Like, it's one of those things where I didn't expect it to work because they're both event squads, but if I could make it work, it would have been so cool. But I do like his squad. I think the rest of the squads are kind of, you know, they're fine. They're actually really good event squads because they have different specialists in them. I think they're some of the best event squads they've come out with, but I don't think any of the other ones like are as interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the American one being a medic. I mean, no one really plays medic squads. If you're gonna play a medic squad, you might as well just play an assault squad.
Yeah, but the benefit with him is that it's not like the whole squad is all medic. It's not like it's a 5-man medic squad. I don't mind having a single medic in a squad. I actually like having the individual medic because you can top people up with them. In fact, I wish, and maybe the AI does this and I just don't see it, but if I could make any change to medics in this game, I think the AI medics should just have coded into them that they walk around and heal anybody that they see that can be healed. Like, I just think that's something that they should passively do. I think people would bring way more medics. Like, just put one in not every squad, but they'd bring them more often if you just had a guy walking around in your squad that would patch you up whenever you were fucked up.
Yeah. It's cool that he's the actual, like, first, like, actual, I guess you can say, black guy that's actually in the game, you know?
I think he's the second.
You know,
They have the pilot.
Oh, they have the pilot. I didn't know they had the pilot.
Yeah, there's a premium squad with the P-51.
Okay. That's cool.
But he's the first infantryman that I know of.
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Let me know when you're good to go.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Here's to hoping we don't get Conquest again.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad though.
No, it wasn't bad. I mean, we kind of dominated the map. Alright, so I've been wanting to talk about a new, like, map set that I would like added. I'm sure you can already kind of guess what it is, but because I'm not the only one who's brought it up before. A lot of other people have brought it up, but I would like to see Manchuria added. The thing is, the more that I've thought about it, the more I think it actually could be a really good expansion to the game. Because I think that there's a lot more that they can do with Manchuria than just having it be like a one-off, oh, it's Japan versus Russia. So basically, what I think they can do with Manchuria is they can obviously come out with it as a late war campaign, or like a late war map set, where it's late war Japan versus late war Russia, and it'll get more variety for Russia, because like right now, Russia basically has all of this city fighting. They're either in like Berlin or they're in Stalingrad. Rzhev has a little bit more openness to it, but it's still relatively urban. But like in high BR Russia, a lot of the maps feel kind of samey, even though Stalingrad looks very different from Berlin. It's still just a very urban area. So, like, obviously the one that everybody's brought up is, oh, well, bring in Manchuria. Manchuria's more open. It's got more towns, less cities, whatever, right? Plus, you get to fight a new enemy, so that's very different. And I agree with all of that. But what I've been thinking about is you can give the maps for Manchuria more generic names. And you can use them to do like a staged release over time. So like you can start with like the late war Japan versus Russia Manchuria, right? But you can also use it as a vector to add in China to the game. So like, you know how Italy is lumped into the Axis, or Britain is lumped into like the Western Allies? I think you could do the same thing with Russia, where you make the Eastern Allies. The Eastern Allies can include, like, Russia and China. And so then you can take the same Manchuria map and you can flex it into also being, like, a China map. And you can, you know, obviously add more maps and more variety over time. But then you can add a branch into the Russian tech tree that includes, like, Communist China or like Nationalist China, or both, with like weapons and squads representing them.
Yeah.
And then like I don't think that this wouldn't be like you do one release and it's like one little update. No, like this would be over the course of like a year. So the first update you would do, you'd bring out Manchuria, you'd have Japan and Russia because they're already established. You don't really have to add a whole lot for that to happen. You just need the map. So then once you already have the map in place, then you can add in like the lower BR Chinese stuff, so you can now have low BR Japan and low BR China fighting there. Or you can even, well, obviously they'd be in the Russian tech tree, so it would also be kind of like cock and goal. And like some of the pre-World War II conflict with Russia and Japan up there. So you'd have your like low BR, like BR 1, 2, 3 kind of area. But then, like towards the end of the year, if you wanted to do like a really big update that's like really radical and like shifts the game, you can do America and Russia fighting each other and have it be like the Korean War. and like the exact territory isn't like correct, but the terrain and whatnot will be similar, and you can, like I said, continue adding maps to, like, it wouldn't be a campaign, but to that like segment.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really cool, because you'd be able to do this like staged release. You'd get things that come out for all of the stages of the war and all of the stages of the equipment that we have, but it would also add a lot of variety to the game, because now you'd have Japan fighting high BR Russia, you'd have Japan fighting low BR Russia and China, you would have America fighting Russia, which would be a huge shift, and a lot of the stuff that's used in Korea we already have in the game, whether it's like the M26 or the M2 carbine. I'm pretty sure they heavily used the M1 Garand still. They used the bar still. There were still Shermans there, and there were Corsairs. So, like, a lot of the equipment is already in the game for something like that. Plus, it means that they can finally address the biggest issue in the American tech tree, and they can add in the Super Bazooka. And then America will finally be on par, like, one-to-one with all of the other nations in their ability to deal with, like, tanks with shoulder launchers.
Yeah.
And then at that point, American players will have nothing left to bitch about.
I would just like to see them expand on the Pacific more, with when it comes to Japan and USA.
Yeah, me too.
And then of course expand
effectively
on the actual,
everything. Go ahead.
Can expand on their actual tech tree for Japan. Even if they don't, actually put things in the game, that maybe they exactly used. I mean, it's Gaijin. We see what they do with like War Thunder and stuff. They put things that are experimental things in the game. Maybe things that were only on.
Well, I feel like they've already been doing that. Like, I feel like that's why Japan has like a BR5.
Well, I mean, it's because too they can add like the Tiger into the game for Japan. That'd be pretty cool. Seeing a Tiger in the Pacific as well. Just stuff like that. I think that would be cool. And then, of course, the different maps too. I mean, there's a lot of different places that they can put into the Pacific as well that they haven't added in.
Yeah, so that's actually what I was going to bring up. Effectively, when it comes to maps in the Pacific, we've been stuck with Guadalcanal for like 2 years now.
For a while.
Yeah, and it would be nice to get something other than Guadalcanal. I think that the logical next step there is to do Iwo Jima, just because the environment is so iconic and it looks so different. Because you've got like the Black Volcanic Sands, and you've got like Mount Suribachi and whatnot.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
So I think that's probably where I would go next. There's a lot of campaigns you could do, though. Like, you could do Okinawa, you could do, like, Pelelu. I don't know, there's lots of options. I just think that if you want something that's attention-grabbing, and if you want to bring in, like, players, right? And you want to have something that's really easy to advertise, Iwo Jima is so famous, and it's got so many iconic, like, images from it, and so many, like, iconic accounts from it, that I think that's probably the easiest one to use to draw people in. But it's also probably the most at odds with Guadalcanal. Because if you add in something like Pelelu or Okinawa, at least from the videos and pictures I've seen of them, they don't look that different. Like, Guadalcanal as it is feels like generic island, and I feel like adding in either of those would still feel like generic island. I think the other one that would probably be as iconic, or at least as different feeling, as Iwo Jima would be the Philippines. And I actually think doing like a Philippines campaign would be really cool. Right now, the Japanese don't really have a whole lot of like urban fighting, but you'd be able to do combat around Manila, and that could actually be really interesting for Japan. Just like right now, you've got a lot of rough terrain where you've got like jungle and creeks and beach and whatnot, but the like town fighting is very limited.
Yeah, town fighting is limited.
Um, I think you could also make Iwo Jima really interesting because, like, in the recent, or not recent, but in the newest map in the Pacific, where they've got like the landing ship and the plane and the caves, um, I feel like that map is cool because of the variety of terrain you have to fight on, because you have the caves to fight in, and you have the LST to fight on, and you have the plane to fight around, and the airfield to fight around. Like, each objective feels distinctive on that map. Like, each objective feels memorable. And I think you could do something like that with Iwo Jima because of how extensive the Japanese cave networks were, because you've got, like, the beaches, you've got the caves, you've got the volcano, you've got airfields. So I think you could make that work pretty well as well. That being said, I I obviously don't have any like information that I'm basing this off of other than like what we have in game. Like I don't know what anybody's working on, but the recent addition of the French resistance guys makes me wonder if they're going to do more with France going forward, because I know France, like the Battle of France was one of the most like desired or in demand campaigns back when we had the campaign system. Like, I think that's the one that was talked about the most of what people wanted. And I think it would be really cool to get like an early war um, update for this game. Like, obviously releases aren't quite as big as like a whole new campaign. Like, they can do more staged releases now than they were able to in the past. So I'm not expecting them to like come out with like a whole arsenal for like early war Germany. But it would be kind of cool to see an update where we get like a map set that's in like France, Belgium, like it basically, if we got part of Belgium, we got like a battle on the Maginot, and we got like a battle in the area near like Calais or Dunkirk. That would be pretty cool. And then bring out like a bolt action rifle, a semi-auto rifle, like a low BR and a high BR submachine gun, and like a couple of machine guns, and like a tank and a plane for France. So like the core of the update would be all like France, I guess. But then you could have like a Panzer 1 or a Panzer 2 come out for Germany in the tech tree. And honestly, that's probably just about all you need. Like, you could come out with a couple other things, I guess, but like low BR Germany is actually fairly well fleshed out. I feel like there's just like a handful of things you might want to add.
Some French tank would be really cool, though.
But yeah, I think it would mostly be the map, and I think it would work again, like the Manchurian thing I mentioned. I think it would work because you can do it for low BR. Sorry, I'm trying to take out a tank. You can do it for low BR because it works for the invasion of France, but you can also use the same map tile set, because when the Allies are sweeping the Germans out of France, a lot of those maps can double up for the same thing. So it's not like it's a campaign or like a map tile set that they would only be able to use at low BR. They could use it at high BR as well.
Yeah.
Because at least for me, when I'm thinking about them adding in new maps and new tile sets and whatnot, generally my approach is that if it's gonna have a good chance of being added, and it's not just me spitballing ideas that I think would be cool, it's got to be usable for more than just one aspect of the game. So it can be like a map that works at low BR and high BR for one nation. God, dude, I'm just getting shot from every direction. But yeah, it can be something that works at like low BR and high BR for like one pair of nations, or it can be something that works for like multiple different nation sets. But I think something like that's much rarer. But I think maps like that are going to inherently be more likely to be added to the game because they create more content. And like, yeah, it's kind of like artificial content, but I mean, content's content.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the desire for like specific things. That being said, I think as somebody who plays every nation, I think I'd be happier, you know, if I have something to do as every nation with an update.
You know, France would be pretty cool, like I said, especially low BR, especially with some of their tanks that they could add in there. That'd be really cool.
I didn't realize it didn't have mines.
Especially seeing maybe like one of their land tanks that they had, like a B2 or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but
yeah, the B2
those would be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, as it is, we already have the T-28, and that thing's kind of like a land tank. It has like 8 crew members in there, but I mean, one of those.
You know what the difference is going to be? The B2 is actually going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to have armor.
Like, it's going to have
right?
armor. Yeah, dude, if they came out with so they'd probably come out with a B2 and a B2 BIS. One of them would be a premium, and the other one would be in the tech tree, and that would actually be sick.
Yeah, but like I said, it'd be really cool playing France, especially at low BR. It'd be really cool.
I know it wouldn't be that good, but I just really want Lacan.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot hit that guy. So do you have any predictions for our winter event?
Nah, not really, to be honest with you.
I feel like it's got to be something big. Because I feel like the event that they're running right now, like, the Puma is neat, but I feel like it's kind of a meme vehicle. I don't feel like it's going to be very good.
This is more of a placeholder, I feel like. More of a placeholder.
Yeah, so last year for December, we got the Russian paratroopers, which, in my opinion, they're the best event squad they've ever run. The machine gun squad over the summer was pretty good, and the current ones that are available with the zombie event are pretty good, but these Russian paratroopers are by far the best event squad they've ever come out with. So I'm curious what they're gonna do for Christmas this year, especially because this is like, I think this will be the first Christmas that they've had since the Steam release. It's the time of the year where everybody wants to bring in like new players and whatnot to all their games. So I don't know. Like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's gonna be something big.
Yeah.
They've only done one half-track event so far. So it could be half-tracks again. I really hope if they do half-tracks again that they don't do the same shit they did with the first one. Where it's like downsized squads. Yeah, it could be. Back in the spring, they did the T-34-100 event, and that was really cool. But I feel like since they're doing the Puma right now, I don't think we're gonna get another vehicle. I could be wrong though.
I mean, maybe. I mean, they could give out the Puma, and then they could give out something else, maybe for the Allies or something like that. We never know. They may come out with 2 vehicles.
You know, I've just been watching guys running past my half track.
I have people shooting at my half track. I haven't had that luck.
Oh, they got it. Great shame.
No, not really. I mean, I guess, you know, if there was one thing, you know, I could change about the game is taking out the gray zone.
Yeah.
I think taking out the gray zone.
Stubbs and I talked about that last time.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty good, taking out the gray zone.
Absolutely, can get behind that.
I mean, even if you don't, I just feel like, you know, even if you don't get rid of it completely, you know, at least shrink it down to where, you know, to where it makes it to where these brand new squads that they put into the game, the guerrillas, are still useful, to where at least the guerrillas are able to go completely into enemy spawns, at least. If they don't
I mean, they effectively can go into enemy spawns. So, like I said, I talked about it with Stubbs last time. I like the idea of getting rid of the gray zone, but I also like the idea of getting rid of spawn protection, and I think if they do either, I think they need to do both together.
I can agree with that.
I think that the benefit of removing spawn protection is that it encourages you to build spawn points, and to build spawn points, and not just to be like forward locations, but to diversify where your team comes from, so the other team can't just like pin you down. And I understand that the reason why this probably won't happen is that, and I want to put this in a way that doesn't, like, I'm trying to think of a way that makes this not sound like I'm trying to insult people, because I'm not, but like, the reason I don't think it'll ever happen is because Enlisted is a free-to-play game, and Enlisted needs to appeal to a broad audience as a free-to-play game. And I think that's like the nice way of putting it. But basically, anybody can pick up and play, which is a good thing. The problem with anybody being able to pick up and play is that it's a PvP game, not a PvE game. And in a PvE game, you can scale, like, the enemy difficulty by either difficulty settings or like, whatever, right? Like, there are ways that you can tailor the experience. When it's a PvP game, you're opening yourself to all of the, like, human strategy, human ingenuity, the way people think, right? So things like the gray zone and things like spawn protection exist to protect people who aren't as skilled at the game so that they can still have an enjoyable experience. And, like, I understand that. That being, and you know, maybe this is just me wanting, like, a more hardcore game mode, which, you know, maybe that's the argument. Maybe Enlisted right now should stay exactly the way it is for its core game mode, where you have gray zones, where you have spawn protection, where you have an aiming pipper on the planes, where you have like a what's it called, like a penetration assist when it comes to tanks, right? Like, maybe all of that should stay, and we should look to War Thunder for inspiration, and have like standard Enlisted, and then like Enlisted Sim or Enlisted Realistic or whatever tagline you want to like name it. Maybe that's the solution, because then you can have a separate game mode where, yeah, the queues are probably going to be longer, yeah, there's probably going to be like more bots running around in it and less actual players, but in that game mode you can remove the gray zone, you can remove spawn protection, so now you actually have to protect your spawns. Like, people will actually then have to use their minds to, you know, keep their spawn protected, so that they're not getting spawn killed. They're gonna have to build spawn beacons so that they have different vectors to approach from. They're gonna have to, you know, protect their forward spawn points, so on and so forth. And then you can also look at bringing in changes like having no aim pipper on planes and having no penetration indicator on tanks. And you can do all of that in one separate game mode where people who want a more hardcore experience, or people who are willing to deal with the inevitability that they're going to get outplayed by an enemy team, and they're sometimes not going to have like the great experience that they, you know, normally, or I guess maybe not great, but like they're not going to have like this average baseline experience that they can get in normals, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's the solution, because like the more that I think about it, like what I want probably is at odds with what's healthy for the game's development and the game's growth. Like I said, as a free-to-play game, just to exist, it needs to appeal to a broad audience, and I don't necessarily think that some of the changes that I would like to see would appeal to a broad audience.
I feel like a lot of the changes that we would like to see are stuff that will probably like more further down the line, eventually when more of an actual we have more of an actual player base, because then, you know, with the larger player base, then we can probably do more of that type of stuff. But I do feel like if we do get a large enough player base, I feel like we probably should, you know, at least the very least, like, implement other game modes with kind of like, you know, similar to War Thunder. You know, you have like your arcade battles, you know, your realistic ground battles and stuff like that. Similar, but just implemented onto here. Whereas, like I said, it gets rid of, you know, your actual aim pippers, and then, you know, where to shoot for the tanks and stuff like that. Spawn protection and all that good stuff. So, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, even in War Thunder, there is no gray zone. There really isn't. I mean, there is some spawn protection.
There is spawn protection, but yeah. Well,
I mean, it's
yes and
minimal.
no. It's absolutely a thing. It gets taken away as soon as you move, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, it's a thing, right? But it's minimal. You know, as soon as you start doing something, then it's like, okay, now you're.
Well, okay. So, as somebody who does abuse spawn protection in it, like, you absolutely can abuse the fuck out of it. And what I mean is, it goes away when you move. I think you've got like a minute of spawn protection, or like maybe 45 seconds. I don't know the exact number, but you have it for a while, unless you move. And when I say move, I mean drive. Like, if you move your turret, that doesn't count. If you shoot, that doesn't count. So, for example, in War Thunder, people will drive into your spawn at the end of the game because your team's getting schwacked, and they'll just sit there and like be a firing line. The problem for them, and when I say I abuse it, this is what I mean, is sometimes when I know we're gonna lose, sometimes just for shits and gigs, I'll spawn in and just see how many of them I can shoot before my spawn protection goes away. So, like, it is absolutely a thing in War Thunder. It's just most people, as soon as they spawn in, hit W, and it goes away in, like, 5 seconds then. Um, so it feels like it goes away quickly. But yes. I don't know the actual numbers, like, statistically. When it comes to War Thunder, I think arcade is still more popular there, but everybody that I know, except for like one person, exclusively plays realistic or occasionally plays sim. Um, there actually, on the topic of sim, there was somebody in one of my videos recently who left a comment that I thought was really interesting that was talking about potentially like what sim would be like in this game. And how so everything we were just talking about, right, where you could change the aiming pippers, the gray zones, the tank shot thing, right, where you could get rid of all of that. You could also run it like sim battles from War Thunder, where you have a set list of what you can bring in that rotates each day. So like, let's say today it's America versus Germany, and it's themed around Normandy, right? So you'd have a set list of, like, for example, you'd have MP43s, right? Because it would be in Normandy, and you wouldn't have, like, STGs. You know, stuff like that. And that way, it would, in a sense, it would feel like you have the campaigns back, but it's not like you have 7 different campaigns. You would have, you want to play sim, this is what the set list is today, so now you get like a thematic lineup of weapons that are error correct, and then you also take out all the other things we talked about, and it rotates every day. So like, today might be like D-Day, tomorrow might be the invasion of Moscow, or like the Battle of Moscow. The day after that, it might be like Guadalcanal, you know, whatever, right? And it rotates every day. And I think that would be really cool. My only concern is that it might be a little bit too much. Like, I think you could make a realistic enlisted pretty easily, where you take out the gray zone, you do the aiming, pipper, penetration, not the stuff that we were talking about, and leave it at that. It would probably be less popular if, it would probably be less popular if you included the set list, but I think it would be a popular concept amongst people, because I know there's a lot of people that like the more historically inclined gameplay. But I think it would probably draw a smaller audience because of the limitations of what you have researched. Because not everybody has the whole tech tree researched. But I do think it's a really interesting concept, and I think it would be kind of fun.
Yeah, it'd be one of those things, the same thing. I feel like they can probably put down somewhat more down the line. Larger player base, and then eventually, you know, where it's like people are more invested into each tech tree and stuff like that, where it's viable.
Yep. When it comes to when it comes to previous event squads, how do you think they should bring them back? Like, what's your ideal version of them bringing them back?
I mean, you know, I would not mind paying for the damn the MP3, the MP40 squad with the silencers. I think they're really cool, but I don't think they would actually make it to where these actual squads where we can pay for them. I think they'll probably go back and do the same thing they did this last kind of like sale where they put them in boxes.
So if they introduced, are you familiar with the marketplace in War Thunder?
Yeah, I mean that's another cool idea they can implement.
So that's something that's been floated before, that they could do that. So if they did that, so let's say there's every update, there's a loot box that comes out with that update, and in those loot boxes you have like a, I don't know, like a 2% chance of getting an old event squad, and then you can sell your event squads whenever you do like a current event. You'd get a coupon. Whenever you get one of them out of a box, you get a coupon, whatever, like, so you could always sell them. Is that something that you would want, or would you rather have it where you just go on like the Gaijin store, or you go on like with gold into the research page and you just buy them?
Maybe the Gaijin store.
Okay, so you'd rather not have like the marketplace then.
I mean, the marketplace would be cool. I just think it'd be hard because, I mean, it's like, not everybody would probably have a squad, and not everybody's probably willing to get rid of the damn squad as well.
Yeah, so
I feel like it would just make, like,
so
it would
some of the issues, some of the issues with the marketplace right now with War Thunder, is like certain things get to be like prohibitively expensive, pretty quickly. So if you have an event that is not very popular, right, then the tank or the plane will probably go for like 15 or 20 bucks on there after the event, which really isn't too bad. But if it's something that is popular, it'll probably start around like 60 bucks, and then it'll just go up from there. So I don't know what the IS-7 is running for right now, but there are times where I've seen it at like market cap, and market cap is like 2,000 like Gaijin coins, which is like $2,000.
Yeah.
So it can, like I said, it can get like prohibitively expensive with the marketplace, but it also means that there's accessibility to pretty much every squad that's ever come out. I feel like chances are that they would never actually just bring them back out as something that you can just spend gold on, or that you can just throw like 20 bucks at, or 40 bucks at, or, you know, whatever, insert price. Which is unfortunate, because I kind of agree. I think that's a decent way to implement it. So I kind of wish Josh was here. Josh and I have talked about this in the past. I think my ideal implementation for it would actually be a system where every time, like, let's say every year or every 6 months that go by after an event, the event squad from that would get added to a shop. And so you'd be able to constantly grind out a resource. Let's call it like platinum, because we already have silver and gold. So you'd be able to grind platinum by playing the game, right? And buying one of these squads might cost you like 1,000 platinum, and you get like 1 platinum for like every 10 minutes you spend in battle, something like that, or like for every like 5 minutes you're in battle. So you'd still have to, or like, let's say they could even cost like 150 platinum, and you get a platinum for every game you play. Because, like, I think the idea is every month, if you played consistently every day for like a month, you'd be able to buy one of these squads. So it's not like they would be quick to get. Like, I just don't have the numbers like without sitting down and like mathing them out. But basically the goal would be you play for a month, you can get a squad from the list, right? Because these events, you can usually do them in like 2 weeks. So now when you retroactively get them, you can get like 1 a month. There's a lot of old squads, so it's not like you're going to be able to get them all particularly quickly. Plus it would require you to like actually play every day for like a month. So realistically, for most people who aren't playing every day, you'd get one every like 2 months, which I think is fairly acceptable. And then you would be able to monetize it, so you'd be able to just like buy them outright, kind of like what you're talking about.
I mean, like, I don't mind. I mean, I feel like if they don't want to, like, just, you know, when it comes to, like, every single sale that they do, right, go ahead and put, like, every single one in. But, you know, they can periodically, you know, maybe put, like, 1 or 2 in that we haven't seen for a while. And then put it for, like, I don't know, 50 bucks, 60 bucks or something. So I feel like, listen, if you make it to where it's, like, these squads, when you put them into these events, you can kind of like pay, you know, to kind of progress into getting those actual squads. And I feel like you can actually charge real money at some point to actually purchase them. So even if you want to make it towards something that's like you know, rare, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing. You know, I don't. At least, you know, like I said, every now and then when they have sales, maybe drop one or two in, or just one. You know, and then charging like, I don't know, $50 or something for it. Because I feel that's fair. Because I mean, like, let's be honest here. If you did a squad that just popped in right now and you didn't really play and you just paid gold to progress, you're probably going to spend at least $50-$60 just to get that squad.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just thinking, like, if you make them too expensive, I don't think people will interact with the system. So, I guess what I'm getting at, to like, be more specific than just, like, spitballing ideas, there are certain squads that have come out, like the SAS squad for the British, or, like, the suppressed MP40s for the Germans, where they're actually pretty good squads that have pretty good value, where people would actually be interested in getting them, and people would probably spend a fairly significant amount in order to do that. However, I don't think that is every squad. In fact, I don't think that's the majority of squads. I think overwhelmingly, like if people saw the Australian Owen squad that I have for like $50, I don't think very many people would actually spend $50 to get that squad, because it's a neat squad, but it's not that good. Likewise, what are they called? The Japanese squad with the flags on their rifles. They're really cool looking, but, like, realistically, I don't think people would spend, like, hardly anything to get that squad. Like, maybe if you're really into Japan, you might be willing to spend, like, 15 or 20 bucks on it. But, like, most of why it's cool is because they've got these cute little flags hanging off their rifles. But they're not particularly good. Like, obviously there are people who are collectors who will collect, you know, whatever you put in the game. People who will see value just in the collection itself, right? But I think normally, at least just from what I've seen with the market trends in War Thunder, with the marketplace, people's willingness to spend on a tank or plane is tied in part to how difficult it is to grind it out in the event that it released in, but it's also just as much, if not more, tied to how powerful it is. Because there are lots of low BR vehicles, like event vehicles in War Thunder on the marketplace, that you can get for like nothing. But then, if something, like, I wish I had an example off the top of my head, but like, they've come out with some of these, like, wheeled tanks before, or like, there's the Chinese Terminator. It's like a turret, it's like a T-72 hull, or like a T-55 hull, basically, with like a missile launcher on the roof, right? And it's been really, really slow to increase in value. And, like, it has gone up in value because the supplies dwindled, but, like, it's been really, really slow to go up in value because it's not popular and it's not considered particularly powerful. So, I think just pricing them by default at, like, higher values might not get the desired result. That, and I do think there should be some way to buy them, but also some way to grind them out for free. Like, I think it needs to be a combo system. And maybe your take of bringing out things occasionally is more correct. That would be more in line with what you would see with like, the Prime Vault and Warframe, where they'll, like, bring out an old Warframe, or usually it's like the whole Prime access, so it's like 2 weapons and a Warframe, and they'll bring it out for like a month, and then it'll go away for like a year. So maybe that is a better way of handling it, where you have a rotating shop where you don't have every event squad ever in there, but like you can build up your resource to spend in the shop for free, or you can go and you can buy like that resource, you know, for real money, and then there's like a rotating selection in that shop. Like either way. But I think there should be a way to potentially get them for free by like spending time, and then I also think there should be a way where it's monetized to get it for actual money. But I do think that there should at least be some like obscurity with it, with like time after it releases. So, like I said before, the way that I would do it is if you grind it out in the event, there's an exclusivity period of like 6 months or a year or whatever before it can go into the shop. That way, if you actually play the event, you have the like, ooh, ah, cool factor, look at what I got. I spent the time to unlock this thing.
Yeah. It would be cool for them to see to bring back some squads that they haven't brought back in a while.
Yeah, like I would like to get the MP40 squad. The main reason why I think that squad's cool, by the way, is even though it's a 5-man assault squad, it has an engineer and it's got an anti-tank soldier. Which,
yeah, that really makes it
as far as like premium squads and event squads go, like assault squads, I think that's the best format that they've done so far. I forgot if did we talk about it yesterday, or was I just like thinking about it like the other day when I was working on one of my videos? I can't remember, but I think they really need to look at revamping the legacy premium squads again.
Yeah, I mean, they could, no, we talked about, I think, in one, like, the other day, we talked about, when we were looking at the different sales that were going on, how some of them are still, like, maybe only 4 people, or, like, for example, like, we're playing Russia right now, right? They have the PPSH2, right? That's, like, an old squad, right? They only have 4 people in it. I mean, they have an engineer, but it only has 4. Like, it'd be cool if, you know, they went back, revamped them a bit, at least gave them 5, even if they just gave them an extra, you know, medic, or, you know, just an extra slot where you can maybe plug in another engineer or maybe another AT inside of it. But like, yeah, like to revamp some of these older squads, you know, that are still small size, they only have like 4 people in it or 5 as well.
Yeah, so at least my take on it, and to be fair, I think part of the reason why this has become, like, apparent is we had a year of them releasing paratroopers, and the paratroopers are still the best event squads that they've come out with. The Russian paratroopers are the best, but all of the other paratroopers are, like, half a step behind. But the reason why they're so good is it doesn't matter if you get a premium paratrooper squad. Obviously, there's no tech tree paratrooper squads, which is probably part of why it ended up like this. But there's no difference between them.
Yeah, they're interchangeable. And you have access to all
like
the
they're all the same.
Right?
The issue,
and then of course you can switch the weapons as well.
Yeah, the issue when it comes to like an assault squad. And anybody who's watched any of my videos talking about this topic or anything adjacent to this topic knows how I feel about it. But the value in an event assault squad or a premium assault squad is only there if you're a new player. Like, as soon as you reach the same BR in the tech tree, all of the value that squad has just tanks. And the thing is, there are really good examples in this game of the right way to go about it, and then there are also examples of like, the worst way to go about it, right? So, if you look at the paratroopers, all of the paratroopers are the same. They all jump out of planes. They all get a box. That box has 4 options on it. It's the same 4 options. It's always a 6-man squad, right? If you look at the tech tree APCs, or you look at the premium APCs, they're all the same size. They all get an APC. They do get different people in the squad, but to be honest, the premium APCs are better than the tech tree ones. Except arguably at like BR5, because of the assault rifle, battle rifle, automatic rifle options that you can put on riflemen.
Yeah.
But like generally speaking, they're similar enough, right? Snipers, radio operators, and machine gunners and flamethrower premium squads. Those are all really good because they offer you something that you have no other way of getting in the game, right? Then you get to engineer squads that, in my opinion, are largely undersized, and I think they could use a look. Like the assault engineers were a 6-man squad. That was good. The tech tree 6-man squad. A lot of the premium ones are still 4-man squads. 5 would be better. 6 is where they should be. And so basically my take on this is that all of the squads, whether they're event squads, premium squads, or tech tree squads, should mirror each other. For example, if you get an event tank, like the T-34-100, right? There's functionally no difference between the T-34-100 and any other tank in the game. Like, you, 1-to-1, you can insert them wherever. If you take a paratrooper squad, 1-to-1, you can insert them, and it doesn't matter if it's event, premium, whatever, right? And I think that's how it should be. The problem that I take is you get a rifleman squad, like the Japanese guys with the flags on their guns. Theoretically, you can replace all of their second, or like you can take the second primary slot and you can put in, like a Type PA rifle. And it gives them a little bit of, like, longevity, but it kind of defeats the point of them existing because, like, they're cool as a thematic squad for BR1 and 2. The problem is, you play them at BR1 and 2, you have no engineer, so you can't build, like, spawn points or ammo. You don't have even the option to take, like, a radio operator or an AT soldier or an assaulter. So, like, all of these things that you can do with a normal squad, right? I'm perfectly fine with leaving the customization on normal squads where like a normal rifleman squad gets choices. Premium squads don't get choices. I'm fine with that. But I at least think that they should have pre-assigned specialists in those squads. And they don't even necessarily have to be the same number, but they should at least be close. So like a premium rifleman squad should be a 9-man squad of riflemen with 1 engineer and 1 of a different specialist. You can make it a flex slot where it's a non-premium soldier where you just buy one from the game and stick them in there the way you do with the APCs, or you can make it a pre-assigned soldier. And I don't care which, but it's at least going to give those squads more value so that you actually want to get them and use them. And this is even more so the case when it comes to assault squads, because when it comes to like an assault squad, like let's say the PPSH 41 Parkerized, right? Because that's just here, right? They look really cool. They have awesome uniforms. Their gun is just a PPSH though. It just looks a little different. The thing is, when you get the PPSH 41 in the tech tree, now you can take a 7-man squad, so you've got 2 more dudes, and you can take 3 specialists.
Yep.
Like, so you're getting 2 more specialists because all the assault squads now have an engineer. But you're still getting 2 more dudes, and like, it's not like a small amount of difference, okay? Like, when you take a machine gun team, there's like a give and take there, right? Because the most machine gunners you can put in any squad in the game, it's not premium and not event, is 3. Okay? Like, half-tracks can take 2. Machine gun squads take 3. Paratroopers can get 3, right? But you can get 5 which is a boatload of firepower. And it's the same thing with flamethrowers. You can get 5 flamethrowers in a premium squad. You can get 2 in a normal squad, right? So there's a trade-off where you're saying, I'll take less soldiers, I'll take less choices for specialists, but I'm getting a ton of firepower, and I'm getting depth so that if I lose the guy that I'm playing as, I can go to the next guy, and I have the same capabilities.
Yeah.
And so there's inherent value there that persists, whether it's like a BR1 squad, a BR5 squad. Like I still play the Shao squad for Russia. Like it's a terrible gun, but it's still a 5-man machine gun team at BR2. I guess one guy, it's a legacy squad, so the engineer just uses normal guns. But like it's still 4 machine guns where you normally could only get 3. And most of the machine guns at low BR for Russia are shit anyway, so using the Shao isn't really like a huge downgrade. But I'm just using that as an example. The MG-13 is probably a good example for Germany. It's the same kind of squad, but the MG-13 is actually good. But like, my point here is that they did a wonderful job, like 2 years ago, when they made all of the legacy premium squads, and made it so you could take a non-premium tech tree engineer and stick them in there, and then all future squads came with an engineer. Like, that was a really good decision, and it's worked out really well. But I think they need to go a step further and add in, like, a 7-man version, or, like, add the option to put in tech tree people up to 7 on all of the legacy squads, including the ones now. Like, the squads now would also become legacy, and then all future squads would follow the new format. And I don't know. I actually don't think that's a particularly hot take. What do you think, Ice? I know I lectured for a while there.
I think they could probably implement something like that. I mean, of course, keep the engineers, because I feel like that is definitely will make, premium
Oh yeah, I don't think they should take
stand out
anybody
a little
away.
bit more. Right, keep the engineers in there, and if they don't want to do a lot, they can easily just add an extra slot in there, and then you get to choose what you want. So then basically you go to the squad, you go to the upgrade tree, and then it gives you an option, I don't know, between like if it's an assaulter squad, hey, you can add another assaulter if you want another one in there for shits and giggles, or an AT, gunner, or a radio man, or a machine gunner, a sniper, or whatever it is. Or if you wanted to add in a regular rifleman, which I don't know why you would want to add in a regular rifleman to, let's say, to like an assault squad, you can add that in there. But I feel like, yeah, they can at least do the very least add in an extra slot for an extra specialist in each premium squad, so new and old. And I think that would be pretty fair. That'd be pretty fair.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, like the way that the premium format feels in this, like with these older squads, because notice, like whenever they come out with these newer squads, they either are 1-to-1 with their tech tree counterpart now. Like what I'm saying is not like a radical idea because it's what they're already doing. Or like I guess my point is they've kind of just stopped coming out with these older squads that follow this old format. Like the guerrillas are the same. Like the tech tree to the premium guerrillas, they're the same thing. The half tracks to the tech tree half tracks, they're like the same thing. I don't know when they last came out with a premium assault squad, now that I think about it. And I'm curious if that's, like, in response to, like, what I'm talking about. Not, like, in response to me, but, like, in response to the idea that I'm talking about. Because for whatever reason they don't want to go back and touch these older squads, and by proxy they also don't want to come out with new assault squads. Or what? And to be fair, there might be more to it, like, because all of these all of these new squads, in addition to mirroring their tech tree counterpart, also have some sort of gimmick. Like the half tracks have half tracks, the paratroopers jump out of planes, the guerrillas run around behind enemy lines. Which, by the way, I don't say gimmick is like, oh, it's gimmicky, it's bad. Like, no, I actually think that it's a good thing. I think that adds a lot of character and a lot of diversity to your lineup, and it makes things more interesting. But I'm curious, like what prompted the decision, whether it was them feeling like they needed to improve on what some of the premium squads were, or if it's just they had like different ideas, and because they have all of these new ideas that are new and cool and interesting that they're implementing, they just haven't bothered making some of the like classic squad types, like assaulters or riflemen or whatever.
I think it's probably just because it's probably a little oversaturated with a lot of the assaulters, and I think too at the time when they were implementing a lot of that, the game was still, you know, in its early stages, right? So, you know, having a squad that just, let's say for a person who's barely starting, having a squad that has like fully automatic weapons and a whole entire squad of that's like a game changer for like the average player, right? Now that we're more into the game, right? It's like what are we, like in year 2, 3 now? 4, right? Year 4 into the game,
4.
right?
Yeah.
Right? Most people, you know, have gone that actually play this somewhat on a regular basis, have access to a lot of these, like, you know, higher tier weapons and stuff like that, to where now I feel like it lets them experiment a little bit more, adding, you know, different cool squads and ideas. And then of course too, it just kind of, I feel like it's what the flavor of the month is, you know, when they were adding in all the paratroopers, what they come out with. They came out with some premium paratrooper squads, right? You know, when they were coming out with something else, they came out with this and they came out with that. So I think it's a little bit of everything. I don't think we're going to be seeing any, in my opinion, I don't think we'll be seeing any assault squads anytime soon. And if they do, they'll have some type of, you know, something interesting, like a gimmick added to it.
Would you still see them in events, though?
Yeah. But I mean, like, actual to sell, you know, like, you know, charging like actual money or gold for it, I don't think so. Unless there's really like something like a good gimmick behind it.
I mean, just thinking from like my perspective, because in the past, you know, I've worked in like marketing and sales and whatnot. I feel like they also just, I'm just, whenever I say this, I'm just using what I observe from other people in game. I don't have any like figures to go on. Like, I don't have any like internal numbers or anything like that. This is just what I guesstimate by looking at stuff, but I imagine that they probably look at like sales of paratrooper squads and sales of like guerrilla squads and sales of half tracks, and they probably do a lot better than like sales for like rifleman squads. And I imagine that probably does promote them to, like, I agree with what you're saying. Like, if they come out with like we know that there's another update coming because they just had a dev server. If they come out with a new premium squad with that update, I think it's much more likely that it's going to be like a paratrooper squad, or it's going to be like a half track, or it's going to be like more guerrillas. If anything, like if I was a guessing Drew, and I often am, I would be willing to bet that they're going to be guerrillas.
Guerrillas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because right now we only have 2 premium guerrilla squads, and even though we have them in the tech tree for everybody, it wouldn't surprise me if we got like a premium American guerrilla squad and we got like a premium Japanese one. I mean, maybe not because they're in the tech tree. I know like the whole reason why we had a year of paratroopers is because they weren't in the tech tree, and it was the only way to get paratroopers, and they were trying to like make things relatively fair for everybody. So, I don't know, maybe I'll be wrong. But
That'd be cool,
this is all purely speculative.
Be cool having to play as some guerrillas as Japan, though. make Japan stronger.
They do have texture gorillas.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same.
I'm curious what they would do. I think there's a lot of ways that they could implement them. Like, it would be kind of cool to have them in, like, ghillie suits or whatever and make them look like they were coming out of, like they were hiding in spider holes or whatever. But I also think it would be kind of cool to do, like, Chinese collaborationists. I can't words today. But yeah, collaborationists. Or like Korean collaborators. That could be cool too. So, then if this is the route that, you know, we assume things are going to go, where we're not going to see, like, a whole lot of rifleman squads. We're not going to see a whole lot of assault squads, right? Are you concerned about power creep, then?
No, not really. I'm not really concerned with power creep. So I feel like, you know,
not concerned because you're, like, happy to go with the flow of the game, or not concerned because you think it's not an issue?
I don't really think it's an issue, to be honest with you. I don't really think it's an issue.
I'll tell you why in a minute, but finish what you're thinking.
I mean, yeah, I don't really think it's that much of an issue, just because it's like, you know, yeah, you know, someone plays, let's say, I don't know, like a paratrooper, right? I mean, paratroopers are strong and stuff like that, you know, but they can be countered. I don't think they're all win all be all type of squad, you know, to where if someone runs a whole entire squad of paratroopers, right? Just that one player alone, I don't think can like completely swoop, you know, like turn the tide of the game. Now, if you run into a whole like 4-man squad, right, 4 people playing together, and all they have are paratroopers, I mean that's the different story, right? Especially if they're coordinating together. But I don't really see it being that much of an issue, though.
Alright, so think back a year ago, right? Think about what your lineup looked like a year ago, and now think about what your lineup on average looks like today. So when we were hanging out with Josh the other day, I was talking about this a little bit, but at least for me, I think that on average, when I wasn't intentionally making a lineup different, because I do make lineups intentionally different now to, like, keep them interesting. But if I'm just running an average lineup that I make that's designed to be, you know, competitive and whatever, just using whatever I've got researched, usually my lineup is primarily going to be built around using automatic weapons, and there's a lot of squad types that have completely fallen out of use in my lineups. So, like, I very rarely run engineer squads these days. I very rarely run rifleman squads, like, virtually never, except for, like, BR5, because some of the BR5 battle rifle, assault rifle, automatic rifle options are quite good. But generally speaking, post-merge, I would run 3 assault squads. Now that there's been more, like, diversity brought into the game, I've been cutting down on assault squads and ramping up on, like, guerrillas, APCs, paratroopers, machine gun squads. I've started taking more machine gun squads, but that's BR dependent. But the point that I'm making is, generally I don't bring AT squads, generally I don't bring rifleman squads, generally I don't bring engineer squads. Every once in a while I'll bring a sniper squad, but I often don't feel the need to bring sniper squads if I've got paratroopers, because I can drop in the paratroopers and play them as snipers. So what I'm getting at is, before the merge, you had a curated list of squads that were available to your campaign, and because of that, like, they were somewhat limited. Like, generally speaking, there were assaulters 1 and 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, so in certain campaigns, if you progressed far enough, you could get 3 or 4 assault squads, but that wasn't the most common thing in the world because a lot of people weren't progressed that far, or there were just other things campaign dependent that would affect what you would bring. It depends on like which weapons were good, depending on the era and whatnot. So back then, I feel like I did bring a lot more engineers, I did bring a lot more riflemen, I did bring a lot more just various squad types. And I feel like I still bring a lot of different squad types, but I feel like what I'm looking for in my squad types now is more homogenized. And generally speaking, I'm usually running automatics. And I do think that that is a power creep in this game, and I'm not saying that it's bad, but it probably does hurt the authenticity of certain VRs. I don't think it's an issue at VR5, because everybody running around with, like, assault rifles at VR5, a lot of, like, what we're using seems like it's supposed to be if World War II didn't end, or like, post-war stuff. Like just barely post-war. So that feels okay, but I think once you go down to, like, VR2, or whatever, right? Where you would expect to see a lot more bolt-action rifles, I feel like something has probably been lost there. And back before the merge happened, originally they had talked about having a limit to squad types. So I forgot what the limit. I think it was going to be like 2 or something like that. So you'd be able to have like 2 of each type of squad. Which, to be fair, I don't think that would make like a significant difference. Because like right now you could bring like 2 squads of paratroopers, 2 squads of guerrillas, 2 APCs, 2 assaulters, a medic squad, right? Like you could still accomplish the same thing more or less. I just feel like there's a lot more automatics in play now, and it's not like exclusively a high BR thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying when it comes to that. I get what you're saying.
And like I said, I haven't decided if it's like a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a trend that I've noticed. We're not doing hot.
We're not. No, but I get what you're saying on the actual power creep, though, and I really never thought of it in that way. I mean, I will say this, like, when I play a lot of, like, you know, BR2 to 3, right, 1 to 3, and, you know, I still use a lot of, I use some of my premium squads, like my rifleman squad. Like, for example, when I play Germany, I play the Labelle, and I play the Mosquitoes, right, the Italian ones. And, you know, I feel competitive, but I feel like when you play some nations that have more, I would say, automatic, you know, weapons in their, for their premium squads at those range, I feel my playstyle does change a bit to where it's like, okay, I'm probably not really going to play as these guys that much now. I'm probably going to go ahead and, you know, use this now because I need to stay competitive now into this match, more or less. So I get what you're saying when it comes to the actual, like, power creep.
Yep. Like I said, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like normally people would argue that it's not a good thing. The thing is, like, I think it's fun to just run around and shoot people, alright? Like, I wouldn't be playing this and running as many, like, high-speed, aggressive, automatic squads if I didn't think it was fun. But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's just a trend that I've noticed. And it's like exclusively an infantry trend. I don't think I've noticed it with like tanks or planes. I feel like they've barely changed. Although, you know, you can bring a lot of tanks or planes. You know, I talked to Stubbs about this, I think, a little while back, but how would you feel about instead of balancing vehicles based off of their the like current system of like 2 tanks versus 2 tanks, 2 planes versus 2 planes, how would you feel about balancing their numbers based off of nation production? I'm not saying that they should do this. This was just something interesting that Stubbs and I talked about. So, for example, right, American players dislike that they can't, you know, play their tanks very effectively because the Tiger 2H is really good, right? So, what if if you're playing the Americans against the Germans, instead of getting 2 tanks, you get like 5?
And they all still die.
Yeah. Yeah, they would, but it was just an idea that that Stubbs and I talked about. Again, not saying that this is something that should be added to the game, just that this is something that we discussed as what if.
But Drew, that's more Shermans I can punch holes in with my Pack 40.
Yep. Or in
I
my
think it
case,
should
my
totally
Pack
be a
43.
thing. Where, you know, America has like fucking 10 planes flying around, laughs at anti-aircraft gun.
Yeah, so you play BR5 Germany, and you get 1 plane for your whole team, and the Americans get like 8.
Oh my god, that would be horrible.
That would be horrible.
That'd be absolutely AIDS. That would be horrible.
But I usually do anti-vehicle stuff in Enlisted
But
anyway,
guys,
so
you also get to have a Tiger 2, and everybody knows that the Tiger 2's the absolute Ubermensch that's unbeatable by anything.
Okay, fine, but you know, Germany gets to put a prototype, you know, E100 on the field.
Yeah, we get a rat. We get our land battleship.
Now, see, what they really need to add in, they need to add in, like, more freaking SPAAs in the damn game. They need to add more of that stuff in there in the game.
I feel like if they do that, it can't take up a vehicle slot. Like, to be honest, Josh and I were talking about this the other day. So we've got the upgraded AT guns now. So you've got like low BR AT guns and you've got high BR AT guns. And they like change in like caliber and effectiveness and whatnot. They probably should do the same thing with AA guns. I don't know what you think about that.
I mean, they could definitely do that with the AA guns, but it'd be nice to having at least every nation at least having 1 vehicle. I mean, you can. I mean, the Americans, they have the M13, right? But then after that, nobody else has
AA gun vehicle.
I think they do, right?
There's an event one for Germany and for Russia. I don't think I played that event enough to get the German one, but I did play it enough to get the Russian one. And then there's the M13 for America and the Tasse for Japan. I feel like this is probably going to be a more popular... Well, I don't think that's going to be an unpopular take, but I think this is going to be one of my more popular takes. When you build AA guns, you should have the option to take direct control of them, but they should be AI controlled. Like, you should actually be building an AA position that is operated by the AI. So you, like, build it, and you set it, and you're good. And maybe your team can only have, like 4 of them for the whole team. But, like, I feel like it's such a waste to build an AA gun and then just sit on it the whole game. Like,
just have two separate ones. Have your have an option to build an AI one, or have an option to build a man one.
sure. Yeah, so like the manned ones can be unlimited, or you can have as many of them as, you know, you can build. And then have the AI one be like limited to like 4 for your team. And obviously if they're getting blown up, then you can rebuild them, you know. I think it'd be interesting to expand the engineer role, in that way.
I'd like to see them have like another play mode where it's just like double the fucking player count.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
More fucking chaos.
But if they're gonna do that, they need to double everything. So they need to like double the map size, double the like.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously.
I'd be down for that.
But it'd be great because like I feel like it's just so limited.
Especially on some of the older maps. I feel like there are a lot of maps that are very cramped. Alright, I'm too close for
Вызываю
that.
огонь артиллерии!
Понял, подтверждаю огонь.
You still doing the zombie stuff, Drew?
We will be later. I don't know if Josh is planning on being around today, but if he is, then yeah.